Greetings, adventurers and storytellers. This is Cause of the Warforged, and today we're going to be talking about how to run a Session 0 for Daggerheart. And rather than just giving you some pointers and tips, I have a full Session 0 itinerary and uncut footage from the first hour and a half of the Session 0 I ran for an online mini-campaign I'm calling the Ashvale Wastes. I'm going to show you how Daggerheart's rulebook has laid out an incredible foundation for running a Session 0 and starting campaigns through the use of CATS. CAT stands for concept, aim, tone, and subject, and then we also get some really useful safety tools from the rulebook as well, such as the lines and veil system as well as the X card system. So whether or not you're a veteran DM or a new player, this is going to be a very helpful video for you just to know what to expect when it comes to Session Zeros and have a solid reference for how to run them. You don't even need to be playing Daggerheart for this video to be helpful. This could be useful for players who are playing D&D or Pathfinder or any other TTRPG. I think the foundation laid out in Daggerheart's rulebook can be applicable to a great variety of games because it's just overall a really good way to start a campaign. We are also going to be going over character questions, background questions, connections with the players. So it's going to be a lot of me talking in the beginning of the uncut footage, but later on, once we get the players to start pitching in on their ideas and tying their characters into one another, you're going to see a lot more interaction from the players. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get straight into the video. Now, before we get into things, for those of you who are not familiar with Daggerheart and have clicked on this video because you want to learn more about it, let me just give you a brief rundown. Daggerheart is a TTRPG, a tabletop role-playing game similar to the likes of D&D, but with rules light systems that allow for a heavy emphasis on narrative-based roleplay and combat rather than rule lawyering and number crunching that you get from a lot of other TTRPGs. It's super easy to pick up and play regardless of whether or not you're a veteran or a newbie to tabletop games, and I really love the duality dice system where you roll two different colored d12s and you assign one dice to be the hope die, the other dice to be the fear die. Every single time you're making skill checks or attack rolls, things like that, you are rolling the duality dice for action rolls, and if the hope die is higher than the fear die, then you succeed or fail with hope and gain a resource called hope, which you can spend on some really cool abilities. Or if you roll higher on your fear die than your hope die, then you're going to succeed or fail with fear, which is going to give the GM a resource that they can then spend on buffing their enemies or summoning new enemies or doing dynamic things that will create consequences, meaningful consequences, to drive the plot and narrative of the campaign. Really incredible tools. Daggerheart already, after just playing a few games, has stood out to me among so many other TTRPGs I've played over the course of my life as really something that is going to be different from all of its predecessors and brings to the table a unique and very narrative focused experience, which I enjoy so much. And one last thing I want to mention too is that if you're not familiar already with the news, Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford, who are some of the best lead designers working at Wizards of the Coast, they have left and now they've joined up with Darrington Press. They're going to be working on Daggerheart, so there's going to be a lot to look forward for this game. I already am in love with this game after playing it only a few times, and I really want to highly recommend other people to try playing it. So hopefully with this Session 0 video, more people are going to be interested in playing it now that they know a little bit of a good idea on how to start up a campaign for it. And of course, as we're going through the sessions, I'll be posting some clips of those online, maybe even full footage, who knows. If you want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe to the channel. Also leave a comment with any of your thoughts on Daggerheart that you're curious to share about and discuss, because I'm very excited about this game. I mostly make Baldur's Gate 3 videos, but I'm definitely branching out to Daggerheart content just because I'm so excited and so passionate about this TTRPG, which has quickly replaced my obsession with D&D that I had prior had for the last 8 years. So really excited about this game. Let's jump into what a Session 0 is. All right, so here we have is our Session 0 itinerary. I'm going to be running through this in the actual Session 0 uncut footage that I'll be showing after this section of the video, but I did want to just briefly go over the itinerary in a little bit more detail so you have a genuine idea about what we're going to be talking about before we talk about it. And so for the Session 0, what they recommend, just straight from the rulebook, is a system called CATS, concept, aim, tone, and subject. It's 4 topics that are very easy to go over and explain the expectations and narrative of a campaign. And so the first one is concept. where we are going to be talking about what the actual idea is for the campaign. It can be as short as a small paragraph that says, hey, it's going to be a post-apocalyptic adventure in a desert wasteland where you guys are going to have to struggle for bullets and fight big-ass machines. That could be good enough as the concept. I've definitely put a little bit more detail into that for this because I wrote up an itinerary that you guys can actually check in the link below if you want a copy of it for your own games. You can just copy-paste the format, use it as a template or a boilerplate, up to you. So concept is just going to be explaining the general idea for the campaign. Next up is aim, which will explain the purpose of the campaign. And really the purpose of this campaign was to just expose players to Daggerheart. So it's a mini campaign. It's going to be a short one that's running between 5 and 7 sessions with an approximate 20 to 25 hours of content where people are going to be able to rapidly progress between tiers 1 and tiers 2. So again, the aim for this campaign, a little bit very vague and general because it's just focused on allowing players to play Daggerheart to begin with, as everyone, or at least most of the people in this group, are going to be new to Daggerheart. And so your aim can be whatever you want it to be. If you want to have a long-term campaign, that's where you're going to mention this in. I want this to be a serious campaign. We're going to dive into major themes for the characters, give them growth and development. Or hey, maybe this is going to be lighthearted. It's just going to be a couple one-shots where we're going to fight some monsters and get a feel for how Daggerheart works. Totally up to you what you want to put in aim. Next up is going to be tone. All of the tones and themes for the campaign, you want to throw them in here. Now, there are 5 campaigns that are included in the rulebook. You can already tell that this one is going to be based off of Colossus of the Drylands. I took that campaign frame, kind of made it my own, and so we're using very similar tones and touchstones from that. Post-apoc, dark humor, steampunk, gritty western, mystery, big monster battles, problem solving. These are all tones and themes that the players are going to see, and if that's something they are excited about, then hey, we're going to roll with it. But if they want to add on tones, if they want to make their own tones for the campaign, then this would be a great place for them to input it as well. Touchstones are just going to give your players an idea based upon existing games and media what type of expectations they'll have. So Fallout, Metro, BioShock, Borderlands, the good, the bad, the ugly, they'll have a really good idea of what this post-apoc Western setting is going to be like if you explain that these are the touchstones. Now, the next part is a very sensitive thing, and it's called subject, right? But this is a very important thing. This could be the make or break it for your campaign. If you do not cover subject, then your players won't know what to expect. You won't lay out the foundation for what's going to be allowed and what's not going to be allowed at the table. So this is one of the most important things to cover in a session 0, and I'm so glad that it's a part of CATS. So the first thing that I would say to do is have a list of subjects allowed and a list of subjects not allowed, and then let your players build upon that, modifying it to their own taste and comfortability. Now, for this campaign in particular, the subjects allowed were violence and war, swearing, dark humor, and then the subjects not allowed are any sort of R-word or sexual assault, any explicit sexual content, slavery, racial epithets, and then we added on animal and child abuse after a player mentioned it. And again, it's a sort of live document where you want to get input from your players, and you can modify this as needed. But starting at a campaign, it's very important that your players understand what is going to be allowed at the table and what's not going to be allowed at the table, and that they have a chance to speak up and say what subjects that they do not want allowed or that they do want allowed. All right, so next up is going to be some safety tools, which again are just directly from the rulebook. Now, they actually have, if you go on the Daggerheart webpage, you go to resources, you can go on session 0, and you're basically going to be able to see the TTRPG Safety Toolkit credits, where you can refer to all of these back to the rulebook, X card, O card, N card, the Luxton technique, all of these really useful safety tools. I love how much effort has been put into the safety tools, because again, these are really important to ensuring that your players are going to really have a fun and memorable time at the table, where they also are very comfortable with everything that's going on. Now, the lines and veils is one of the safety tools that I wanted to cover, and basically lines are going to be topics that you do not want in the game and that will not appear in any form. So with an example of slavery, if we had slavery as a line, then you would not hear about it. There would be no such thing as slavery. You know, the marauder gangs, the raiders, they would just straight up kill settlements that they pillaged. They wouldn't take any slaves. There would be no mention of it whatsoever. And when it comes to playing the game, the players would not interact with that form in any way. Whereas if it was a veil, this is going to be a topic that players, they don't want featured in the game, but it can still exist in the world. So players would not be rescuing any slaves, they would not be dealing with any sort of slaves within the settlements they visit, but it's still in the lore that, you know, the Ashen Fang Marauders, they go around the waste and they do enslave these settlers that they have overrun and take them back to their mobile fortresses. So lines and veils, there is a thin line between those two things, and I think it's good to have a list where you know where your players sit at in terms of comfortability of certain topics. So is this subject going to be a line, or is it going to be a veil? Should it be explicitly not allowed, or can we have it exist in the world and you just aren't going to deal with it, right? And then next up is the X card. This is going to be a safety tool that allows any player, including the GM, to flag when content is uncomfortable for them and basically do a little rewind button. And so to use the X card, now I'm going to be playing this on Discord. So basically I'm just going to let players ping me with an X emoji whenever they want to bring up the X card. And that is going to then allow them to indicate a moment in the game where they want to rewind to because they were uncomfortable with some sort of content. And then they have the option to explain why they're flagging it, you know, what went wrong, so that we don't have that same mistake in the future. But regardless, we're going to rewind to the point in the story before they were uncomfortable and then move forward in a new direction, avoiding any flagged content. So the X card, really good safety tool to have, I think. I just love that, again, the Daggerheart rulebook, it lays out the foundation, the groundwork for you to incorporate these tools into your games, which I wish a lot of other TTRPGs did. But yeah, that's going to be it for cats. Once you're done running cats in your session 0, I am going to highly recommend you guys come up with character questions. You can use the campaign frames. I think all of them have really good character questions, and I basically just took the ones from the Colossus of the Drylands, turned them and made them relevant for my own setting. And so I have a list of character questions that I'm going to go about asking the players, and they can think about an answer for these. They can start working on an answer for these. They don't need to have the answers by the end of session 0, but as they start playing, hopefully they'll start coming up with the answers for these. And also what we do at the end of the session 0, or, you know, probably around the 1 hour or 45-minute mark of the session 0, is start talking about background questions as well as connection questions. So if you guys take a look at your character sheets, you're going to all have background questions as well as connection questions that are dependent on the class you play. So they're actually going to vary from player to player depending on what class they're playing. And I think they did a really good job of incorporating background questions relevant to the type of class that you're playing, while also making those questions still just very meaningful in general, right? So if I'm playing a stalwart guardian, one of my background questions are going to be, who from your community did you fail to protect and why do you still think of them? That already is a very meaningful question that digs at the core of why you became a stalwart guardian to begin with, right? Maybe you failed to protect somebody and it haunts you to this day, and that's the reason why you're so obsessed with standing in the front line and being the shield for other people. That's just an example, but of course, we're going to dive into deeper detail in the actual footage for the game. But I just wanted to explain, make sure that in your session 0s, you are going to be answering at least 1 or 2 background questions and connection questions. That way, when you actually jump into playing the game, and we do actually play the game a bit in our session 0, but we'll save that maybe for a future video. Basically, once you have those questions answered, players are going to feel a lot more comfortable interacting with each other and having a good starting off point for what their characters' identities are going to be like. So, highly recommend you guys do those things. I think that's pretty much everything I need to cover. So let's just jump into the actual footage from the session. The record button. And I'm going to reintroduce myself, and you guys can all introduce yourselves. Welcome everyone. My name is Kazu of the Wormforge, and today we have for you our session 0. We're going to be going through an itinerary for the session 0 of what I call the Ashvale Waste, which is going to be a Western post-apocalyptic sort of themed mini campaign that is based on the campaign frame called the Drylands, or the Colossus of the Drylands, which is going to be focused on dealing with these very powerful old machines or constructs or whatever they are. They are claimed to be the children of gods in the Ashvale Waste, and whatever they are, they're rising back up, and they are potentially going to be causing a lot of havoc in the lands. So it perhaps will be up to the party to be the ones to figure out a way to stop these incredibly dangerous and deadly creatures. But never mind that, we're covering session 0, so we're going to go through quite a few topics, going over what to expect from this campaign, as well as bringing up any issues or concerns that the players might have. So, introducing myself, I'm Kazu. I'm going to be the game master for this mini campaign, and I have an experience in TTRPGs pretty much from playing my entire life, ever since I was in 7th grade, probably like around 13 or 14, actually maybe even 12, is when I used to go to Monday Night Gaming and start playing Dark Heresy, which was the first TTRPG I started with, and then 8 years ago I started D&D, and I've been playing that a lot, almost non-stop throughout my life up until this point. But now that Daggerheart's out, taking a little bit of break from D&D, getting into this amazing new game by the beautiful people at Darrington Press, and I have a beautiful and amazing group of people to join me for this adventure. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna go around the table, just over the table introductions. You don't have to introduce, well actually, no, we should introduce our characters, since everyone has at least a decent idea of what their character is gonna be for this mini campaign. We'll go around the table, and each person can introduce both their player name, whatever you want to refer yourself by, over the table, and then of course their character name, and just some minor details about their character. Let's go around, let's start introducing the people that are going to be part of this mini campaign adventure for the Asheville Waste. We're going to start off with Amity, or Charlie.
Alright, hey y'all, I'm Charlie, pronouns are they, them, and I am playing Amity, pronouns she, her. She is, I'm going to say a lot of words, an Orderborn Infernus Seraph, who is a Divine Wielder. She looks like this. And she is going to be the party's bulwark, basically. She is in service of a protective flame, as she says. So I'm going to learn a bit more about her as we go.
Amazing. All right. Excellent. That's Amity. Next up we have Klepto.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Dantes, and today I'm going to be playing Klepto. He is a Wanderborn in his community. His ancestry is Clank. His class is Guardian, and his subclass is going to be the Stalwart subclass. He is going to go by he, also they. I did forget to mention my own pronouns. I am a he, him. And just a little bit about him. I'm sure we're going to go into more detail as we get further into the session 0. He is a Clank that was kind of found old, broken by kind of a well-known tinkerer around where our campaign is going to be started. And he was repaired, brought back to kind of a semblance of life, and was taught many different lessons about how to live in the Asheville Wastes and how to go about being a decent person. So for some of his experiences, I've picked a few different phrases. One is, I'm your huckleberry, which is a nice southern phrase saying that
That's a good one.
I'm your man. I got you. I'm your guy. So he is constantly willing to help people. And then another experience called one man's trash. So he is always looking for things that most people wouldn't think would be useful. So any kind of trinket, and he's always going to be using that to pick up the downtrodden. So, and then let me drop his picture because I haven't done that yet. And very quick description of his external appearance. He's very tall, lanky Clank, and his body, he's kind of just held together by bits of scrap. He's constantly getting pieces shot off of him, and he always has a permanent smile affixed to his face, and he just he kind of repairs himself. I'll go into that later when we describe our domain cards. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, next up is Maggie. You may introduce your character.
Hello, I'm Maggie. My pronouns are any. I go by he, she, they, any. And my character is Eliza Williams. She's a rogue. Yes, she's an underborn elf rogue. Her subclass is Nightwalker. Eliza is kind of like a, how can I say it? She's very a lone wolf type of personality. She likes to do things by herself, but if she has to work with people, she will bite her tongue and work with people. She was banished from her home for reasons that she felt like she was never accepted as a person that who she wanted to be, and she was banished from her home, never living the life she wanted to. So she went from home to home, constantly on the run, living her life the way she wanted to. And Eliza is currently her her experiences is that she's a sharpshooter, and she's also an assassin. She's taken many she's taken many missions, basically trying to hunt down as many monsters or people that needed to be dealt with. And she is just really well, I wouldn't say happy to be here. She's more like unhappy. She hates to really go out and do work, but if she has to do something, she does it. And that is Eliza.
All right. And next up we have is Morchella.
Marcella is a wild-born fungal ranger beastbound. She is a her. She matured into a wraith-like ranger cloaked in bioluminescent spores and midnight hues, stalking the misty woods as a silent guardian. While her kind was a gift to the earth from the Titans, she hates what they've done to the world, as she's very much in love with how the mycelium forest is and the glowing, beautiful oasis that the world once was. So she's very much against their rebirth and will make it her mission to regrow the beautiful oasis the world once was.
All right. And then actually no, we got two more people. Next up is Pebble.
Pebble. We have Pebble. Pebble is a he/him. He hails from. He is a seaborn Galapagos sorcerer of the water elemental origin. As you see, he is Squirtle. So with that, yes. So yes, he is a very humble Galapa. He hails from a hidden oasis of the Ashvale called the Whispering Springs, and he is looking to leave his once tranquil home of peace and venture out into the Ashvale wastes. Now the Titans are stirring once more, and he believes his magic can help restore the Ashvale wastes to its once harmonic. Oh, I can't word right now. It's once beautiful, serene, lifeless world where it once used to be. And yeah, that's Pebble.
Great. All right. And then last but certainly not least, we have is Vin. Introduce your character.
Hello everyone, my name is Vin. I've been playing D&D for about 5 years now, consistently. My pronouns are he, him. But enough about me. Today I'll be playing Akaye Asen. And I think he is going to be first and foremost a scholar. He really enjoys learning anything he can. And he is a highborn elf wizard school of knowledge with that domain. And I think he finds himself in the story driven by academic curiosity.
All right. Excellent.
That is all.
And that is going to be our players for today's sessions, or today's session 0 and the mini campaign. We are definitely going to get into the muck, and everyone here is new to Daggerheart for the most part. I played a little bit, Dantes has played a little bit, but everyone else is pretty much brand new to the game, even though we're all veterans of TTRPGs. So we're gonna meld into the game, or you should be able to pick it up fairly easy. The rules for Daggerheart, it's really of a rules light system compared to a game like D&D, where the focus is on narrative action, narrative storytelling, narrative gameplay, and not so much the rules lawyering, number crunching of what we're used to in things like D&D and Pathfinder. So again, it should be a smooth transition. We will talk about the rules later, but the first thing we're going to go over is the Session 0 itinerary. Cats is what they call it from the Daggerheart rulebook, which is 4 different topics. So I'm actually going to switch my display here. I guess I could stream it too if you guys want to follow along.
Sure.
I'm down.
Yeah, so I'll share screen. All right, let me know if you guys can see the itinerary. Is it up?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so we're gonna go over cats. Cats is concept, aim, tone, and subject. This is gonna pretty much break down all the things that are gonna lay out the expectations for the campaign and allow you guys to bring up any comments or concerns you might have. So we're gonna go ahead and immediately get started with the first topic, which is concept. So hopefully you've already read this part, but if you haven't, and for the viewers who are not familiar with it, I'm gonna go over it. Long ago, the world was nearly destroyed by a devastating war called the Shattering, fought by towering machines called the Titans. These colossal giants were said to be the children of the gods, forged in divine fire to cleanse the world with their iron fists. Entire cities were destroyed beneath their steps, and the earth itself cracked under their immense weight and power. Centuries have passed since those dark days. The ruins of that shattered civilization now lie buried beneath the endless ash and scorching sun of the Ashvale Wastes, a harsh land where few dare to tread. The survivors of the old world rebuild, carving out fragile life within this desert realm. You live in the walled city of Dusthaven, where you could be a newcomer that is traveling and visiting the city of Dusthaven, which is a former museum now turned into a trading hub for travelers and relic hunters like yourself. Whispers have spread through town of literal groundbreaking news. The Titans are stirring once again. Their ancient power hums beneath the sands, and strains like flicker on the forgotten runes left in the wastes. Many fear these giants are the gods reborn to act as harbingers of inevitable destruction that have come to finish the job. Now, as the Titans awaken, your quest begins to unravel the mystery of their creation, discover the secrets buried beneath the ash, and stop the coming devastation before the legends become reality once more. Do you dare to take on these hulking behemoths? And so the general concept for this, of course, is a sort of post-apocalyptic theme where this once beautiful fantasy world has been brought to ruin by massive creatures known as the Titans, who are theorized to have been the creators of the world itself. And so perhaps they have come to enact some sort of retribution upon civilization. Perhaps they have appeared for different reasons. But regardless of the mysteries on how the old world fell, it had fallen bad. And so now remnants of civilization have managed to wheeze their way out and begin life anew on the surface of the world, which is where you guys are going to be, which is where you're going to be living, and which is where you're going to be adventuring as well. So going over the aim for this campaign, this is going to be a mini campaign that is to be between 5 and 7 sessions, though it might be longer if we want to cover in-depth character themes. It might be shorter if we just focus straight on the main quests, quote-unquote quests. But, I'm going to format it where it's going to be fairly driven in terms of the main plot, but the players still have the option to make their own choices. If you want to railroad, or if you see plan A and plan B and you want to go with plan C, that's always going to be on the table. So the session length, I'm going to put a very big asterisk, a big bold asterisk over it, that I'm planning to cover approximately 20 to 25 hours of content, but it could be much longer than that. It could be much shorter. And the span, of course, is going to be between tiers 1 and 2 for Daggerheart. So for those of you guys that are not familiar with Daggerheart, the level progression, the level system, it caps out at 10. You start at level 1 and you make your way all the way up to level 10, which is where it ends. So by the time you hit level 10, that is what I would consider the equivalent of level 20 in D&D, which means that you are advancing at roughly double the pace in D&D. And on top of this being a mini campaign, you're going to level up a lot more rapidly than you would in a regular campaign. I've been in campaigns where it's we've been level 3 for the last 3 months. It's when we're going to level up. It's no, we're going to be leveling up you likely every 1 to 2 sessions you will level up. Tier 1 is level 1, so you might be level 1 for this session 0 and then session 1, but afterwards you can expect to immediately get to level 2, which is the start of Tier 2, and Tier 2 goes from levels 2 until 5, I believe. No, it's levels 2 to 4, and then levels 5 to 7 is Tier 3. Let me double check that. I feel like I'm getting the tiers wrong. Here. Alright, so level 1 is Tier 1, levels 2 to 4 is Tier 2, levels 5 to 7 is Tier 3, levels 8 to 10 is Tier 4. No, I had it right. Are there any questions about the aim of the campaign, the timeline and duration of it?
None from me.
So good.
Calling once, calling twice, calling 3 times. Alright. We're going to move on over to the next part, which is tone. So, tone is going to be a variety. The tone and themes for this campaign, they're going to be a variety of different things. Post-apocalyptic, basically the world used to be a very beautiful, lovely, natural land filled and brimming with magic, and now it's this sort of barren desert, remnants of the previous civilization, and not a whole lot left besides people who are just barely surviving, a lot of old technology, and a lot of crazy things that wander the waste that are no doubt very deadly. There's going to be dark humor, so, similar in the manner of grim, dark video games and Fallout and all sorts. Actually, Borderlands would be a good example of dark humor, where I think I put an example in the subject. Yeah, we'll cover that in a sec. But basically, like, someone dies in a vividly gruesome, horrific manner, and then an NPC in your party is like, well, hey, at least that's one less mouth to feed. There's going to be a lot of elements of dark humor, so that is something we'll cover in the subjects on whether that's going to be acceptable or not for the players. But just keep in mind, that's one of the base tones for the campaign that is set up. Steampunk, so there's going to be a lot of arcano technology, a lot of magic-based technology, and even technology that isn't dependent on magic whatsoever. Another tone is going to be gritty, western, mystery, big monster battles. You can expect that the Titans are going to be boss-like creatures, and so there's actual mechanics laid out by the campaign frame for Colossus of the Drylands that we're going to use that I think they're going to be really fun and interesting for the players, because, when we play D&D, we do big boss battles, big dragon fights, things like that, but the way that they've laid out the big boss fights in this campaign frame are going to be a little bit different, where the monsters actually have parts that you can target and destroy or break, and when you do that, it's going to disable the monster in different ways. And maybe, for example, if you destroy the head of the monster, you kill it, but you can only destroy the head after you destroyed the chest, and you can only affect the chest after you've broken the limbs, or something of that effect, where mechanically there's a reason why you would target different areas. There is going to be social dilemmas, so there will be probably a lot of social interaction. I don't expect exploration to be a big pillar of the frame, even though it is going to be a big deal that you're going to have to travel between point to point. I don't think we're going to get too much into the muck about that for exploration. So the main pillars of gameplay are going to be combat and roleplay, social interaction, and battle. Problem solving will present itself, though, many times. Maybe even during combat, you might have to figure out how to deal with a problem. Rather than just bashing your head in, attacking a monster, maybe there's a specific element that's going to make the fight significantly easier to deal with. Of course, there's always the option to just attack, but I'm going to make sure that if you want to be the creative type, if you want to be the problem-solving type, there will be lots of options for that, both in and out of combat. And then the last tone or theme or whatever is heavy immersion and roleplay. There is going to be a big focus on getting immersed into the world. This is basically a wasteland. And so the perspective of the locals, the people that live upon the surface, is going to be very different from what you might be used to in a typical fantasy setting. Maybe they're just a lot more jaded, a lot more tough. But yeah, there's going to be that aspect of heavy immersion that I hope to pull you guys in with, and elements of roleplay that we can hopefully all get invested in. So that's going to be it for the tones, the touchstones, which is basically the influences and the inspiration for the setting are Fallout, Metro, BioShock, really good games that I recommend checking out if you haven't played these before. You might get a lot of inspiration for what your character can do or what your character might want to do if you play these games. The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, classic Western movie. And also I think Borderlands would be a pretty fitting touchstone for this as well. Borderlands, Monster Hunter, those sorts of games. Those are my inspirations that I'm going to pull from that you'll probably notice reference to if you're sharp enough within the world that we've created here. Are there any questions about the tone and touchstones?
None from me.
Yeah, sounds good.
Any input? Any tone that you might want me to add?
I think it's a good mix.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
All right.
Yeah.
I was pretty thorough, so. All right, and then we're on the last part of cats already. We went through that pretty quick because, yeah. The last one is going to be subject. So this is a really important one, though. We're going to have to go into a little bit more detail on this because subject is about the subjects, what I would consider touchy subjects that we're going to have in the campaign, and they're going to be allowed, and then the subjects that are going to be not allowed in the campaign. So these are the first one is going to be what I already have presented to you, and then every one of the players, you guys can say whether or not you want these subjects or if you have any issues with them. And then the subjects that are not allowed, you know, it's going to be what I have already thought of, and then if we want to add anything onto that list or if we want to make any changes, we can also do that as well. And actually, before I even cover this, I do think it's better if I go over the X card and the lines and veils, which are two things that are implemented from the Daggerheart rulebook that I think are very helpful. So lines and veils, you know, during this process of the session 0, I'm going to be creating a list of lines and veils. Lines are topics that players do not want in the game, basically the subjects that are not approved, and then they will not appear in any form within the campaign. Veils are topics that you don't want in the game, but you are acceptable allowing them to still exist in the world. So say, for example, a good example I think would be the topic of slavery. That is definitely something that's very hard to take in to see. If you want it to be a line, then slavery would just straight up not take a part in this campaign. It would not exist. You would not hear about it. You would not worry about it. Whereas if it was a veil, it is a topic that won't come up while you're playing the game, but it's still going to be an aspect of the world. You're going to hear stories of the marauder gangs, you know, enslaving people from settlements and taking them away to the waste, to their mobile fortresses and things like that. But it's not going to come up as an actual element where you can go in and rescue the slaves, or you're going to have to interact with slaves, things like that. So keep that in mind. If you want something to be a veil rather than a line, do let me know, especially for like the subjects not allowed. But just keep in mind that I'm going to be making a list of that. And then the X card is a safety tool. So basically at any point during our sessions, you know, using the Discord chat, you can just ping me and then use the X emoji or an equivalent to bring up the X card. This will allow us to remove any uncomfortable or unwanted content from the game. So basically you'll indicate the moment at which point you wanted to, you know, use the X card. You're like, hey, this is not cool. And then we're going to rewind to before that moment to the point that you would find acceptable. And then third, optionally, if you want, you can explain to myself or the rest of the group, you know, why you're flagging that content. But again, that's completely optional. If you don't feel comfortable with that, that's totally fine. The group will rewind to the point before the X card was used, and we're going to move in a different direction, a new direction, avoiding the flag content. Does that make sense for everyone?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love
so
lines and veils.
yeah,
This
so-
is such a good document.
Yeah, and I want to give credit to the authors of Daggerheart, because this is implemented
Oh, yeah.
directly from Daggerheart. These things that I'm covering.
That's-
So
I had
really-
heard about lines and veils before. I didn't realize it was from Daggerheart. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was, I'm sure it was from other games beforehand or similar things like this, but I love that Daggerheart, when they talk about doing a session 0, they bring up and give you these tools to use with your players for your session 0. So that's why we're using it. The X card, do not be afraid to ping me with the X if, again, you feel genuinely like uncomfortable with the topic, because that has happened before in games, and maybe the player was under the pressure where they didn't want to use the X card because I didn't say that there was a tool called the X card before. So now that it's explicitly there, I think that should avoid any sort of problem like that. Let's go over the subjects. So subjects that are allowed, at least baseline, what I am expecting to be in this campaign are violence and gore. So for example, a step forward, a click, Then a deafening blast. The body erupts in a burst of shrapnel and earth. Flesh torn apart, limbs sheared off in an instant. Blood sprays in a wide arc, mixing with dust and smoke. What's left collapses in a twitching silence, nerves still firing as the mind fades into shock. The air is filled with the scent of iron, soil, and gore. And it may be a little bit more graphic or less graphic depending on the situation and circumstances, but do expect it to be at least somewhat graphic because of the nature of a post-apocalyptic setting and dark theme. The next subject is swearing. So pretty much any type of swearing is allowed. Again, we're going to talk about subjects not allowed, which is racial epithets. That type of swearing is not allowed, but normal types of swear words, fuck, shit, ass, hell, cunt. You know, I can't allow them within like the first 10 minutes of the video, but after that, who gives a hell? So, for example, holy fucking Guyana, this poor bastard's brain melted out his head like an oil oozing out of a dripping pan, you know? You can totally use expletives if you would wish. And again, if this is if this is an acceptable subject, then swearing will be on the table. And then lastly, dark humor. So I already gave the example. Someone dies a horrible death at the hands of a giant scorpion, and your friend looks at you and says, well, hey, if you look at the bright side, it's one less mouth to feed, and that's one less person to split the bullets with, and just gives you a cheeky grin, you know? Overlooking the aspects of death, because again, these people are very jaded within the wastes. They might view death as just a normal aspect of life, whereas in other fantasy settings, especially in D&D, you know, when we have Revivify, we don't really give a shit about death, or maybe we do care too much if we want to save somebody and protect somebody, because those commoners don't have our powerful magic. So yeah, that's the base subjects allowed. Do you guys have any problems with these?
No.
Good.
All right. And then let me go fish up some more music for us.
Música.
Yeah, that was an AI retro future jazz, which is copyright free because it's AI. Did anyone have problems with that one?
No, I good.
No.
I'm just gonna replay that one because it's
I
just
genuinely
gonna be
thought it
chill
was
vibes at the moment. All right. So those are the subjects that are allowed, and now we're gonna go over the subjects which are not allowed. And I will say, you know, they're bad because it's the subjects that you would typically never use in a setting. You know, the R word, sexual assault, explicit sexual content, those are going to be prohibited. You know, we're not, even if romance is something that's covered, it's never going to get into serious details. It'll just fade to black. Slavery, that's the subject that I'm not expecting to have in this, not expecting to be allowed. If we want to have it as a veil instead of a line, that is acceptable to me. You know, it is something that would exist in a post-apocalyptic setting, but it doesn't have to. And then lastly, racial epithets, which are slurs. You know, limit this so that there is no such thing as human slurs, or we could also cover it so that it does not cover slurs in general. There are racial slurs for things like D&D. Knife ears, shelter babies that's the kind of like slur that I'm going to use for people who come from sanctums. Like basically instead of saying like vault dweller, you're shelter baby. And then greenskins for orcs, things like that. These are racial epithets that are used for non-human races. Does anyone have concern with allowing the non-human slurs, or we just want to ban all racial epithets in general? Should that be a subject that's not allowed entirely, or it can be partially allowed to the extent of non-human slurs? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. This would be, I think they should just be banned outright, and for good reason, actually. I think you should highlight, in Daggerheart, they have very good rules about mixed ancestry. It's just in the book right from the beginning. You can have any 2, 3, or more races mixed from your character creation from the get-go. They highlight how diverse any of the worlds that you're going to be in are. So I think in a lot of these settings you're going to be creating that people are used to seeing mixed races. It's something that's so normal that I think that you know, if you're going to be insulting someone, I don't think it's going to be about their race. It would be about something else.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah, so actually, I should take out shelter babies. That's not about race. That's more about where you're
yeah,
raised and grown.
That's it's more cultural.
Cultural.
Maybe societal.
You
know.
filthy Gen Zers.
A cultural shelter
Yeah.
baby. Yes.
I mean,
I'm
you know,
okay
as long
with
as
fantasy prejudice. That's just
yeah,
like
as long
that
as we
isn't
can
real.
not be, exactly.
All right,
Yeah.
perfect. That's great input. Appreciate it. Any other subjects that I didn't cover that you guys think should be included?
I would like to put forth child abuse
Okay,
and animal abuse as no.
got it.
Just straight up no.
Yeah, I will
That's
second
not
that.
I appreciate that. I would also like to put under veils, any suicide can be referenced, but I would just appreciate not getting into a situation, and I don't think this would happen, but I would appreciate not getting into a situation where we have to talk someone down. That would
Oh,
be pretty
okay.
bad for me.
Okay. That's a good one.
It's not the stuff that people normally think about, so.
Okay, anyone else? I will also say the lines and veils, that this is more sort of a living document thing. The entire subjects allowed and not allowed is a living document thing, where at any point, if you want to change your mind about something or you want to bring up a new subject because you didn't think of it at this time, that's totally fine too.
Yeah, I mean, everything, for me at least, has been crossed out, the bad things.
Okay. Going once. Going twice. 3 times. All right. Well, that is cats. Pretty simple process. It took us about half an hour to get through, which I think is pretty good. I was pretty thorough in covering everything that I think would be, what you would need beforehand. So we can move on over to the character questions, because everyone beforehand had already made their characters. You guys all are going to get a hope when we actually start playing, just for going through the effort of making your characters beforehand, preparing yourselves, because that is a lot of effort that I appreciate you guys putting through already. But there are character questions and also background questions and connections on your guys' character sheets that I have a pretty strong feeling we have not filled out yet. Who has filled out the background questions and connections questions on their character sheets? Let's just...
I
It's in
did.
the background. No connections though.
Yeah, I did most of my background. One, I was going to wait for you, kind of more campaign specific. Connections, though, I was definitely waiting for session 0.
Yeah, so you can give a check mark to either one if you have done the questions for those. If you've even answered one question for those, then you can check the check mark for the background and the connections, just so we can get tabs of who hasn't done either yet.
I did, but then I had to change my character, so not gonna be.
It's me. I'm the delinquent.
No, that's fine. All right, so a few people did their backgrounds. Only Maggie did connections. That's totally fine. Connections, by the way, connections are things that you want to tie directly to the party, more so than like NPCs. You can tie them to NPCs, and I can actually create NPCs for Dusthaven if you want to have a connection in town. But I would highly recommend that, at least one of the connections you have is directly to a person that is in this group, and that you speak with that person to make sure they're aware of the connection and are cool with it too. Or actually, they can give their own input on what the connection is going to be. But before we talk about those, we're going to talk about character questions specific for the campaign. So these can help you flesh out your character. You could replace any one of these with your background question, because again, they're just to help you immerse yourself in the world. But for the character questions, the first one is going to be, is your character native to the Waste, or did they come from a sanctum? So I kind of mentioned this earlier, but sanctums are the equivalents of vaults from Fallout. There are these massive research facilities that served as almost exclusionary safety nets for when the shattering happened. A lot of people, they fled and they took shelter within the sanctums, or the people who were already working within the sanctums just stayed there and isolated themselves off from the world to secure and provide safety to everyone inside and ensure that they would make it even well after the apocalypse. And so if you come from a sanctum, either Sanctum Seraphis, Veritas, or Ferrum, I do have a map of the Asheville Waste. Let me just pull it up really quick. Where did I put it? Right, so I have this map of the Asheville Waste here. Don't mind that we're in Clip Studio Paint, but we have Sanctum Seraphis up in the top. We have Sanctum Ferrum over here near the Lake of the Gods, and then we have Sanctum, what did I say the last one? Viritas, which is next to Ironreach. All of these sanctums are, again, massive research facilities that would be colonies, essentially, for groups of people who have survived, some of which might have still be living from the old world, and then most of which, you know, the people there are going to be descendants of those from the old world, whereas a lot of the people on the surface, what might be called surface dwellers, they are going to be their own sort of breed of people that have to experience the shattering firsthand and had to survive in a much more unforgiving environment. So your perspective on life is going to be very different depending on whether you're a native to the Waste or if you come from a sanctum. Think about that. How do you think they would be treated by locals, and how they might be treated by other relic hunters and prospectors, things like that? That'll really help out to give your character a good idea of, you know, where they come from. So if you're Orderborn, whatever type of background you have picked, there's ancestry and background, right? Whatever background you pick, you can tie it into either a sanctum or a Waste. You know, typically if you're Orderborn or Nobleborn, it might make more sense for you to come from a sanctum, but if you still want to be a native to the Waste, that's totally fine too. It's just a matter of tying that in, and I can help out with that. The next character question is, what is your character's favorite thing about the Waste? Is there a point on the map that interests you? So if we look at the map again, you'll see there is a variety of named locations. A lot of these are settlements, things like Dusthaven, where you guys are going to start off, the Iron Reach, Fort Adamant, the Ranch, Barrel Spire. These are all going to be various types of locations, possibly faction bases that can be where you come from, where you grew up. You can create details for them if it's a place that I didn't write anything about. But of course, if you see a point on the map that you're like, ooh, that looks interesting, then you might want to, you know, put that down on your character sheet, and that's something that your character might be motivated to explore. Perhaps one of the sanctums, which again are these underground or massive research facility centers where there might be a lot of hidden technology, a lot of lost knowledge from the old world. Yeah, let me put the map into the chat so that you guys can have that. Let me get the image file for it. Oh, don't look at this. Don't look at this.
Ignore the Kazu behind the curtain.
Yeah, there you go. It's not
All
super
right.
high res. I think I upscaled it and then proceeded to use the not upscaled version when I was adding the aerial location names, and I regret that. Might fix that later, but just bear with me. That's the map for now. So yeah.
Okay, I love this.
So what is your character's favorite thing about the Waste? Do you have a point of interest that might be something you will be motivated to explore? Since the Shattering, who or what has your character lost, and how did that event change them, right? So that's a big question of what sort of grief, anguish, misfortune has your character had to deal with that might shape them, that might create trauma for them that they have to overcome, that might affect the current relationships because of the way they view things after, you know, maybe losing their parents or losing a loved one or dealing with the loss of their best friend. It's up to you. They don't have to have any sort of tragedy. They don't have to be an orphan, you know, we don't have to be edgy characters, but they definitely present a lot of opportunities for growth. So if you want, you can think about what type of loss your character has suffered as a result of the catastrophic events of the world nearly ending. And then the next question is, although most believe the Titans would bring about the destruction of what remains of the Waste if they were to reappear, some believe that they may bring prosperity or order to the mortals when they rise. Does your character believe this? How do they interact with people who do? So there are multiple factions. The Concord of Iron is the Republic. It's sort of like the NCR, where they have established order and a sort of structure and discipline to civilization as they're trying to rebuild it back up. They're trying to gather, you know, remnants of other settlements, small groups, and form them under one unified flag. Possibly to rebuild humanity or humanoid kind. But that's one faction. The other faction is a Cinder Song Conclave, which views the Titans as these sort of gods who bring judgment to the old world for their sins that they've done in the past, for their destruction of the environment, the harvesting, over-harvesting of resources of the land. And so they view that the Titans, if they were to reawaken, maybe that's a second coming, maybe that's a further judgment. Maybe they will actually help us this time after they've destroyed everything. And so you can be on the fence of whether or not you want to even be a part of these factions, if you want to help out these factions, if you would be interested in these factions. But again, being that it's a mini campaign, we can't dive too deep into details about that. So just some thoughts. The last question is going to be, what themes are you most interested in exploring with your character? Do you have any thoughts on how they might manifest fighting the Titans? So if you have a theme for your character that you want to explore, for example, if your character is dealing with the loss of one of their loved ones who had maybe not directly a loved one, but someone who was part of the Sanctums, who then got out and explored the world and then was maybe attacked by the Ashfang Marauders, then you might have this sort of instinct of hating all the raiders, all the uncivilized folk that live out on the surface. And so while you're fighting the Titans and fighting along those surface dwellers, you then perhaps gain respect for them, right? That might be a sort of theme to explore with the character, as an example. But if you guys have anything else that you can come up with, that would be awesome. Any input? Does anyone have any thoughts about these questions? Like maybe you've already thought of some answers for these that you might be willing to share.
I have a question.
Yeah. Let's start with
Oh,
Peter first.
you can go.
and then we'll start with
okay,
Peter first,
okay.
and then we'll get to Mag.
So I was gonna have my character Pebble be from like a hidden oasis, as like with the I did message you about the like a small Glapper community, and you know it's like from like a hidden spring oasis. Like how would you count that? Would that be like a what's that? Like a surface dweller? Would that be like counted as a sanctum?
I would consider that probably to be a surface dweller. So if you look at the map,
Okay.
there's the Lake of the Gods. That would be like kind of the main body of water for the Ashfell Waste. So your community would be either living out somewhere within the Lake of the Gods or nearby, like the Sanctum Ferrum, which is adjacent to the edge of this area. And we can, if you want to come up with any NPCs that you might know from the Lake of the Gods or from your community, then that's something that you can work on as well.
Okay.
But yeah, the point of interest for that would be the Lake of the Gods, which is a massive crater within the middle of the Ashfell Waste that appeared after the Shattering. And what sits in the middle of that crater, which is now filled with what used to be, the lakes that were spread across the land, they all accumulated here. What also was left there is a large body of some sort of dormant construct, what people believe is either a lesser titan or maybe even one of the old titans from the origin stories. It's just this massive, like 500-foot tall stone structure. All right, any other?
Does this seem
sorry.
to be like a pilgrimage or a holy site or something like that?
That's a good question. I would say for the Cinder Song Covenant, they come from the Sanctum Seraphis. They would definitely treat the Lake of the Gods as like a religious place of worship, where maybe they once a year or once every few years make the trek down into the lake, into this massive crater, and then do some sort of ceremony in front of the Titan.
Okay.
It is their mecca. And then Maggie, you had a question, right?
Well, oh no, I didn't have a question. I was more so because you said like to share what like for the theme. I was more so I wanted to share like my character like wanting to learn how to love again. I guess like love like a family again, because she's like I said, she's like kind of like a lone wolf, kind of like to herself.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's
learning
awesome.
how to love friends and families again is definitely a theme I want to explore with her.
Excellent. Yeah, so I'll
I have
just
a
keep
question.
notes here. You can go ahead and ask. I'm just gonna be typing a note.
Got it. I was reading your lore document and I really like the guild. Like I really like what they're about. So, is it cool if I change Akaye to a loreborn instead of a highborn and have him born in this area? Because the guild is from this area,
Yeah, you
right?
can be loreborn. Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay,
If
bet.
you guys want to change anything on your sheet,
And
like right
then-
now is the time to do that.
Yeah. And then, is it cool if his two like experiences are like being a merchant and a scholar?
Sorry, say
So
that
like,
question again.
could he like is it cool if my experiences are that he's a merchant and a scholar?
Yeah, you're gonna have to go in slightly more detail. I'll say you can make one of them like job related. You could just say straight up a merchant or merchant background or something.
Mm-hmm.
But for the other one, you want to go into either a phrase that comes to mind when you think of your character or a quality of them that would be more applicable as an experience.
Oh, so like studious?
That's totally fine. You could be merchant and then studious.
I did
Okay.
sharpshooter and assassin. Should I change the sharpshooter one?
Yeah, I feel like that kind of like you don't want your experiences to be too similar to one another because otherwise you're
Yeah.
not gonna have as much coverage for a variety of different
Yeah.
situations. Sharpshooter
Okay.
and assassin, you might end up just using them for the same things. So
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
And we can be from the Asheville Waste, correct?
yes, to be a surface dweller means
Okay,
you're from
so
the
is it-
waste.
Yeah, is it cool if he's from Rattlehook?
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, bet.
All right, and then let's go around to the people who do not have any background questions filled out. We're gonna actually kind of go to them first and see if we can fill some of those out. So let's see who has filled out. We have Pebble, Maggie, and Dantes. Oh, you guys change your reactions.
Sorry, that was just me. Because I have one thing for experience, not all of it. Yeah.
Okay,
I had
so
mine done, but since I changed,
connections,
I have to
yeah.
redo 'em.
Yeah. I don't have background.
yeah, so let's go over Amity and then Vin. Amity, if you have your demi-plane sheet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are
have the
the
sheet.
background questions for the Seraph? Because it's actually different depending on class. Everyone has background questions on their character sheet, and they're actually going to be different because the class is what defines what your background questions are.
Yes. Are those under journal or effects, features, that sort of thing?
Here, let me pull up.
They are in details below your description. It says background questions.
Perfect. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Yes. I did go ahead and put in a couple of those. I did not fill out connections, but she's a little bit interesting because her god does not necessarily exist. She's the only one who knows about her god.
Okay.
She was the subject of a small miracle and doesn't know whether this god even exists or it's basically an imaginary friend. He is called Verith, the Ember of Mercy. And she was at one point defending something, and I will eventually elaborate on that. Knew it was a fight she couldn't win, stood her ground, and her halberd caught fire. And it didn't burn her. So, my thought is that she is part of this faction of the sanctums, the sanctumhood.
Okay.
And so I think that she may have been part of that, raised within that, and then come to believe, okay, well, there's something out here that nobody taught me about, because nothing that I've learned explains what happened to me. So now she's out in the Ashen Waste trying to get to, for instance, the Lake of the Gods in the center. Maybe she'll find a clue there.
Okay.
And that's about what I have for her.
Do you want to come from Sanctum Seraphis, which is like the base of operations for the Cindersong Conclave? You don't have to be part of that
That
faction,
seems
but you
to
could be
make-
someone who's like, oh, I grew up around all these people, and I'm seeing something
Right.
very different from what they're seeing. So I want to find out the truth about
Exactly.
this.
Exactly. And I think that makes the most sense for her. And I mean, I might tweak that later on, but right now, I mean, that makes total sense to me.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, so definitely you could basically replace one of your background questions with, is there a point on the map that interests you? Or like the first question, is your character native to the Waste, or did they come from Sanctum? Basically, since the whole god thing is going to be either a mystery to yourself or just more of a subtle thing at the moment, we'll focus on the world building itself instead. Does that make sense?
I have to use the bathroom really quickly. I'm so sorry. I'll be right
That's
back.
totally fine. Do you have an oath of some sort, kind of like a paladin?
Yeah. I had a couple things that I wrote down here. Now I have to find out where the heck I put them. But she has a few different things that are going to be themes for her. And these are things that Virith has told her. One of them is, I am not the sword, but the force that sends darkness away.
Okay.
And the Ember of Mercy are the flames that burn not to destroy, but to protect. They're the divine fire beneath the hearth, the light that held out the lost, the warmth that says you are not alone. And that is rooted in compassion. And then the last one, rooted in teamwork, is your pain is mine, your breath is my flame, I will not let you fall.
Excellent. Okay. That'll suffice for background questions. So
Awesome.
I think just having the oath and having a motivation and and like where you come from is good enough. So you should be good to go. Connections. So your connections for your class are, what promise did you make me agree to should you die on the battlefield? And so like for you guys who have looked at the questions and they're like, oh, they're phrased very interestingly, it's because you're supposed to ask these to like other players, you know what I mean? So you could be asking another
Okay.
player who you had met along your journey to Dusthaven, what promise did you make to me to agree to if you were to die? Do I have to pass on a message of, I love you to their wife, to their loved one, or is there something that you need me to do, And then the next connection is,
Okay.
why do you ask me so many questions about my god? You've told me to protect one member of our party above all others, even yourself, and who are they? Like if two members of the party were like family members, like twins, and then one of them's like, you have to protect this person over everyone else, please promise me, that's a connection that you could easily make. So at this point, we can open up to discussion if any of you guys want to share connections with Amity, with Charlie's character.
Sure, I'd be open to that.
What are your questions?
Sure.
It was, what promise did you make me agree to should you die on the battlefield? Why do you ask me so many questions about my god? And you've told me to protect one member of our party above all others, even yourself. Who are they and why?
I could answer your first one.
Oh yeah?
I could answer your last one.
Great.
What
Okay,
is the water titan again, Kazu?
What is what?
Oshi. What is the water titan's name
Oh,
again?
Okeanos.
Okay, so Marcella would ask you at her deathbed on the battlefield to make sure you get rid of Oceanus, even though she's a gift from her people are a gift from him. She's mad at the way they handled it, and take him down.
Take him down. So Marcella, make sure you get rid of Oceanus, and I wrote take him down.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. And then,
I
Vin,
like
do you
that.
have one?
Yeah, I would tell you to take care of yourself first and foremost, and I think that comes from just being someone who's from the Asheville area, the Wastes, and who has been able to be a successful merchant.
And what's his name again?
Akaye. Let me change my name.
That would
Yeah,
be
and then do you
awesome.
want to answer a different question? Because the first one is, what promise did you make me to agree to? Should I die on the battlefield? But the other ones are, why did you ask me so many questions about my god? And you told me to protect one member of our party above all others. So you could say for that one, like, oh, protect yourself over everyone else if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll do Kaye. All right, and I'll
I'm
clip
back.
that and show you what I did,
Nice.
and I'll put it in chat. Cool.
Sweet. Yep, so that'll cover it. And then we're gonna move on over to Vin's character.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna ask, could I wanted to be like some sort of like maybe alchemist, if that's okay, like a potion maker.
Do you mean like from your
Or-
background, or
or-
what do you mean?
Or like for for the background. There I have 3 questions, but I think maybe someone who, because my initial thought was my connection would be with Maggie and that I sell them tea, or I sell their character tea, but I was thinking maybe for specifically the background, he, like, I haven't figured out what he sells yet. Maybe just like magical goods. Are those common in this world?
Magical goods are rare and valuable, but like you could be an alchemist where you are able to refine and sell potions. At the moment, starting out at level 1, you know, obviously you're not going to have access to what you had as like your full inventory of resources if you had a shop previously in Rattlehook. Maybe you've left your shop and so you're going somewhere else, and now you have scarce resources that you could barely afford to bring with you.
Okay, what if we forget the alchemist background and we go like archaeologist, like he's studying the Titans?
That works.
Because that would be cool,
Yeah,
right?
that definitely
Yeah.
works.
Oh yeah.
What class are
Ooh,
you?
I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Sorry, wizard.
Wizard. Okay, perfect. Let me just look at
That's
the
it.
for you.
Itinerary.
Yeah.
All right.
I love it when you
so-
can like refine your shit to the world.
The
So
background questions for the wizard are. Let me post a picture of it.
School of knowledge, yeah.
What responsibilities did your community once count on you for, and how did you let them down? Well, that's rough.
Right.
oh
That's rough.
Right.
Another question: you've spent your life searching for a book or object of great significance. What is it, and why is it so important to you? And then the last one is: you have a powerful rival. Who are they, and why are you so determined to defeat them? So, which one of these 3 do you think you can answer?
Oh, I don't have to answer all of them, just one of them?
I mean, you know, as
Uh,
we progress, it would be great if you guys fill out all your background questions, but just for the purposes of playing your character, you really only need to answer one of them.
Ofa.
is your character the one that is asking the question, or is your character the one that's answering the question?
Your character is the one that's answering the question for the background questions. For the connections, that's something that you could ask another player.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Yeah, because the
I got it mixed
connections
up.
are meant to be tied. That's how you tie in your
Yeah, that's
character
how I
with other
got
people's
confused.
characters.
I was
The
like,
background is purely you. It could be another
Okay.
player if, you know, for some reason you've adventured with them for a long time, or they're a part of your life, they're a family member, something like that. So
When?
Okay. Let me see if one I could answer. I was thinking. What if I, for the first one, because it's rough and I kind of like it, pause. That's recorded. That's recorded.
don't worry about it.
That's great.
I mean,
Alright,
no, let me not.
crazy work.
Yeah. What if I was tasked with like screening like a magical object and I thought everything was okay with it and it turned out to be cursed?
Oh,
or something
yeah,
like
that
that.
works. That works. So something maybe like a
Yeah,
relic
yeah.
came in from one of the sanctums that a relic hunter brought over to the city of Rattlehook. You inspected it. You said, "Oh, it actually seems like perhaps a mundane object to me, or maybe it's very much dormant. It should be safe to keep here." And it activated. Something went wrong, but this device, which you could either ChatGPT it or you could come up with the details yourself, this device exploded. It detonated. It caused some sort of explosion that then led to the loss of life for people in the settlement of Rattlehook, which caused you to be, you basically would be exiled, or there would just be so much of a like a negative energy around you of people being like, hey, let's steer clear of this guy,
I
that
had
you
to
ended
pack
up
up
just
and
leaving.
leave. Yeah. And that's how I started. Yeah. Cool. That's what happened for my background.
Yep.
And then my connection.
Give me tea. You're my favorite tea person.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, so your connection, let me take a picture of the questions for everyone to look at.
Mhm.
The
Yeah,
I
questions,
bet I can
okay.
do one. If you're an archaeologist, I bet my character can.
yeah, so the connections are going to be, what favor have I asked of you that you're not sure you can fulfill? What weird hobby or strange fascinations do we both share? And what secret about yourself have you entrusted only to me?
Oh, I
pretty
immediately
what
have the
if
first one.
Okay.
Which one are you calling dibs on?
I immediately have the first one in mind.
Okay, I'll do two.
Okay.
Okay. Bet.
So when you said take care of yourself first and foremost, that's the one that I'm very sure I'm going to let you down about, because I'm literally the
Okay.
bulwark.
Got it.
I'm here to protect everybody else. I come last. So the fact that you said that, I'm like, I don't know.
All right, yeah, you can fill that one in. And then, Dantes, you wanted to take one?
Yeah, I think I'll do number two, but I need a little bit of Finn's input. Would be hobby or strange fascination. So my character is going to be, I basically named him kleptomaniac. He's interested in a lot of kind of old broken technology from the old world. You're an archaeologist, so there's going to be some overlap.
Ooh.
So
Yeah. We share the
do
same
we-
hobby. Yeah.
yeah, so do we kind of keep like a secret collection of trinkets that we don't show anyone else, but maybe we found out about each other's collection, so we kind of go off secretly away from the rest of the party and kind of like show our trinkets to each other. Just something, you know.
Klepto, fascination with old world trinkets.
Mhm.
Here they come back to the fire, sharing their collections
Yeah,
again.
so it's like, oh, Klepto, he takes out his,
Ayo.
he takes out his clickable ball pen, and then, Akaye takes out his stopwatch from the old world, and you guys talk stories about them.
Mhm. Oh
I
yeah,
love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
There they go again.
All right, perfect.
Talking about
So Vin, you're pretty much good to go. Let's see.
Yeah.
Who else does not
and
have
then
connections?
I have one I need answered.
Okay. Do you want to post
It's,
your questions? Or your connection question?
Well, this is the last one that I don't have an answer for. What threat have you asked me to watch for, and why are you worried about it?
What threat have you asked me to watch for, and why are you worried about it? Do you want to share with the party more about Morchella? Any more details about Morchella?
I could read her little intro, I guess. She's a fungal, so she's a mushroom basically, and she's very concerned with the regrowth of the world. And she focuses a lot on regrowing things and trying to bring the oasis back. She's very angry with the Titans because of the destruction they created and the waste they laid to the beautiful land that it was before. She has a companion, which is he's a praying mantis. Well, she's a praying mantis named Amanita, named after a hallucinogen mushroom.
Yep.
And she's on a path of revenge. So she literally just wants to like heal the world and take down the Titans before they have the chance to destroy it again.
All right, does anyone want to tackle this question? What threats have you asked me to watch for, and why are you worried about it? So who has, like, concerns for the other factions, or any rivals they might be worried about?
Does the guild have any rivals?
The guild? The Ashfang Marauders is kind of like everyone's problem, where they are basically the raiders that wander about the lands. They have mobile fortresses that they use that are mainly composed based out in the Ashen Chain, but they also are able to wander around, so they definitely cause a lot of havoc.
What threat have you asked me to watch for, and why are you worried about it? I guess I could go for that one.
Yeah.
The threat that I would have probably told Marcella is the clan or tribe that I was exiled from. They're constantly hunting for me and trying to bring me back into their society, and they will do anything to do that. And they're worried about it because these people, they don't really like them, and they will do literally anything to bring me back to them. So just
What was
look
your
out for that.
character- what's your
My name's
character's name?
Eliza. My character's name is Eliza.
Eliza. Okay.
Here, I'm gonna actually add a channel called Character Connections, where basically everyone can post their questions as well as their answers, and that way we can, like, keep tabs on the connections. Mainly it's to help me, but, you know, it'll also help you guys as well.
I already wrote my connections. I probably should not do that. I probably should redo them.
You can have them tied to NPCs, but you definitely want to have at least one that's tied to a person in this party, because the point is to help you.
I thought the connections was me, like, with another person, like with the entire party, but I didn't know it was like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll change it.
So there you guys go. Character Connections. Post your questions and answers in there for us to track. And yeah, let's go next to Klepto. Go
All
ahead
right,
and-
I'm just gonna go ahead and paste
Yeah.
these in.
Excellent.
How did I save your life the first time we met? What small gift did you give me that you notice I always carry with me? And then my favorite, what lie have you told me about yourself that I absolutely believe? Oh, looks like Morchella called dibs on the third one. So
Oh, really? Okay, no problem.
I called dibs on the first
I
one.
can't think of something, so if you've got something.
oh, okay, yeah.
I
hop
wanted
on
to
that,
ask a
Maggie.
question, but I can't think of anything.
Like the second
Oh,
one,
no,
I'll
no,
take
no, no,
that.
no, no. If
Oh, okay, go
if you want to go for the third one, by all means, go ahead.
I've got something for the second one.
Ooh, yeah.
I do have something for the first and third one.
Yeah.
Either or,
Nice.
I'm okay with. It's up to you.
You
Marcella.
take it. You take the third one. Go
The third one, okay.
ahead.
A lie that I would have told Klepto is that I love people. I absolutely love
That
them.
he absolutely
I
believes.
love-
That he believes.
I-
Yes.
I love talking to people all the time. They're so great and so cool.
She was
Well, that's amazing.
sarcastic about it, and then
That's really good.
All right, I'm gonna roll with that real hard.
That's
Excellent.
so cute. I love that.
Excellent. All right, that's one question down.
I have something for the second one. I think that Amity, like on the way to wherever it was they met, found something amidst the waste that may have been like a relic of the old world, and it's literally trash. It's like a Pez dispenser or a ballpoint
Oh
pen
yeah,
or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that. So she was carrying it with her and, you know, had just kind of picked it up as a curiosity right outside of town. And then when she met Klepto, it was in her hand. He may have asked about it, and she's like, "Oh, here, do you want it?" And suddenly this is like a treasure to him. She's like, "Okay."
Oh, I love that because he wouldn't
Okay.
normally see people carrying junk, so he would have just been like enraptured. Like, who is this person?
She
Aw.
absolutely would start picking up things that he would be interested in if she saw that it made him happy. So that's perfect. They're just nice people. But yeah, you
and-
decide whatever it was. Just
Oh yeah, I'll make it
small.
some kind of. I love the candy dispenser idea. That's awesome.
Yeah, a little candy
It's
dispenser.
just no,
That's
no, no.
pure-
It's literally
that's
one of
perfect.
those like Pez dispensers.
Yeah.
They're on a constant quest with an eye
I'll,
out to what fit in this dispenser because they don't know what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. They have no. They're like, is this like a tool for medicine? Like,
Right. It's like I know that this dispensed something, but we don't know what it was.
Yeah, I'll rebrand it so that you don't get
Beautiful. Yeah, you
Copyright,
make it
so.
your own, but yeah. But yeah, make it your own, and I'll roll with it. But I thought that would be a cute connection.
All right, thank you everyone.
all right, yeah. That, I mean, that should be pretty much good for you.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
So we will move on.
Oh, you can have multiple answers to connections, by the way.
Yeah. So if anyone, if you guys see these questions and you come up with something later on, like for a connection, by all means, you can have multiple people cover those questions. So if like everyone in the party has a trinket that they've given to Klepto because he's a freaking Klepto, that's totally fine.
I mean, can I share something super quick about what I've made for
Yes.
my character?
Of course.
This is gonna sound kind of morbid, but he does actually keep trinkets of people that he has been around in the past because they've like all died tragically, and he keeps mementos of them.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
anything
sense.
anything you've given of him, he's like expecting if you die, he's just gonna keep it forever. So
Aww.
Aw.
I'm sorry, I've known Klepto for like 2 minutes, and I would kill everyone in this room.
Literally, actually.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on over to Pebble.
Pebble. Okay. Yeah, good question.
Okay.
Here we go. As you know, I put up that Pebble is a little turtle boy, and he's a very kind-hearted and open-minded individual, very deep in his spiritual ways of flowing like water, flowing with life wherever it takes him. And
I know number 2.
Oh, you're number 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, you see him. He's very steadfast. He's very, he takes his time. Yeah. Of course, he has his water magic as well, which
He's
I
a
think-
waterbender.
I think that a lot of like factions or places would find him very resourceful and like sought after.
Cute.
All right, so you have 2 questions that you need answered. The first one is, what did I do that makes you cautious around me? And Vin, you said you had an answer for that?
Yeah, I said I used to eat turtle soup a lot.
Oh.
Jeez. Oh, hey.
Like, that was a staple of our
Cannibalism
diet.
it was
Yeah.
not a subject that anyone said they did not want allowed. Just saying.
That is true.
Just
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. That's why I took it.
We can put a line reveal
This
on
is
that. But
awkward.
if not, we're gonna have cannibalism.
I.
Well, actually, it's not. It's not
Like, it was just
cannibalism.
like a passing
It's
thing, and
actually
then he
just not
apologized
cannibalism,
profusely.
though.
Yeah.
It's like regular turtles,
Yeah.
but it makes him uncomfortable because this guy looks like so much like a turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I could do number
Yeah.
2 as well. But I really don't have anything for 3.
Is the location of that oasis or place that you lived in, Pebble, is that a secret?
No,
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
aren't
Yeah,
you gonna
like-
be in the Pond of the Gods or whatever? Lake of the Gods?
Well, I kind of wanted it to be somewhere like it's just like a small hidden community of Galapagos.
Got it. I was thinking
Yeah.
that for some reason, I'm not entirely sure how, Amity might know where it is and has sworn
Mm.
to keep that a secret.
Yeah, most definitely.
And we can work out how. That could be an interesting.
Mhm. If you want to still continue number 2, Eliza would have taken a mission board our mission that said that there was this large turtle-like creature that needed to be hunted down. And obviously armed with her crossbow, she went towards the place where she's supposed to go. She found Pebbles and tried to essentially kill him because he was supposed to be the person that she's supposed to kill, but then realized that this is not her target and completely just left him alone and went on her merry way to actually go kill the target.
Very nice.
Oh my god.
So yeah,
Pebble.
out of those
Wait,
two,
Those
which
are
one do
pretty
you want?
rough. No, I mean, you can have both. You can, just
You can do
put down
both.
Just put
Yeah,
down
you can do both.
Sorry, would you guys mind writing these down so I just remember?
Yes.
Oh my
Does anyone want to take a stab at why do we keep our shared past a secret?
I have nothing for that.
I wouldn't. I don't know if it's a shared past, but I had put forth that Amity might know where the oasis is.
Kazu, let's say I were to do that, because I mean, like, because I did want this to be like a place separate from the Lakes of the Gods, like a place where no one knows where there is this body of water.
No, yeah, I mean, it
Like,
can be
in a-
like,
a
okay,
hidden
so the Cave of the
place.
Gods, imagine it like a massive crater that has filled with water. There's a lot of passageways, a lot of these caverns that have appeared around the lake where your
Okay.
settlement could come from. So it's not directly in the Lake
Okay.
of the Gods where everyone can just see it
Understood.
if they look down. It's like, no, it's hidden away, but it's
Yes,
connected
okay,
to the Lake of the
perfect,
Gods.
Perfect. Understood. Yeah, that's
Got
perfect. Great.
Yeah, so if you want, you could say that Amity does know where that shelter is, or maybe she's visited once.
I see. Perfect.
Not sure how, but we'll work it out.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, this is a mini campaign, so there is a very likely possibility that we may not even go into a deep dive on people's connections and character backgrounds, but it lays
Sure.
down the foundation for something where if we do want to have more sessions later on, or if we want to have a follow-up mini campaign, maybe we'll do one in tier 3, or maybe we'll do one that's further into tier 2. Then these are gonna be, saving you a lot of time in the future, and hopefully just help you play your characters. All right, so that'll be all of Pebble's questions. Who else has connection questions that they need help on?
I guess I do, because I answer them myself, but I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to do it with other people.
Yeah.
Read that.
No, you're good.
So
Do you want to post it?
yeah, I'm getting it right now.
'Cause I can take a screenshot
Just
from the
cannabis.
character sheet if you want.
I got it. It's this one, I think. Yes, this one. Great connections. Ooh, there we go. What did I recently convince you to do that got us both in trouble? What have I discovered about your past that I hold secret from others? What do you know from my past, and how have they influenced your feelings about me?
Well, these are all good questions.
Those are really good questions.
Oh my god.
I feel like they would have gotten in trouble together.
I like the
Oh,
I like the
100%.
first one a lot. It's a very rogue question.
So remember when I said T?
Yeah.
Are you gonna spill that?
Yeah.
tea.
So like
Well, the tea.
public intoxication from bad tea.
But
don't
what
know.
happened? I'm so sorry.
Like we got drunk off of tea.
Oh,
Like off of bad
yeah.
tea.
Like
Yeah.
fermented.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, I was like, Eliza probably like came from out of a mission. She just wanted to wind down, not drink too much, but then was convinced
We
by
got slammed. Yeah.
Akane to get, and then they drank a fuck ton, and then they got into like this big bar fight probably, and that's what got us both in trouble. And that's why we're
Mhm.
no longer allowed in the bar.
hmm
You want that to be a Dust Haven, or
Yeah,
do you
kicked
want
out
that
of
to
a bar.
be in a different settlement?
Different settlement.
No, you can have a Dust Haven if you want. It'll be fun.
Fine, let's do it.
Okay, perfect.
I almost want to say that's how I first met you guys. Was I watched you guys get into this bar fight.
That's perfect too. That's another connection.
I don't know if I was involved or if I like kind of intervened in some way and was like, no, we're leaving.
You take
Oh,
punches for
yeah.
anyone?
Would that work?
Would you take punches for a stranger?
Oh yeah. 100% up Amity's alley.
Oh yeah.
Like if she saw that
that'll
somebody was
totally
gonna
work.
get
So,
straight up hurt,
again,
oh
for the
yeah.
character connections, like if you want to just throw that in there as a new connection, that's totally fine. That would be perfect. All right, so that covers the first question. The second one, what have I discovered about your past that I hold secret from others? Who has secrets they'd like to share? Doesn't have to be over the table. You can do it privately if you want.
And what did you say, Charlie, for the first one?
Oh, I took a punch for you in the aforementioned bar fight with Ikaya.
Okay.
So it's kind of like sort of tertiary related, but not necessarily an answer to that question.
Yeah. No, but
It's
yeah,
like a yes
it
and.
worked though. Yeah.
Okay.
I can answer. I can do this second one because I think it would be interesting. People would probably think Klepto's pretty open about a lot of stuff, but he's got some secrets.
Perfect.
You would have found out that his kind of pseudo father, like the person who kind of repaired him and kind of raised him, is actually kind of like an old school adventure, kind of like a legend, and he had retired and started running the scrapyard. And for some reason, I haven't worked out yet. Probably get to that with Kazu at some point. This person, this father of Klepto, was killed. Maybe like a rival or some faction put a hit on him. But Klepto was out on like a scrap gathering mission when he came back, and he found out what had happened. He basically went on a revenge mission, and he like ruthlessly killed the people that had
John
killed his
Wicked them?
father.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's never done anything like that since. He had that like one moment of just cold, ruthless revenge, and ever since then he's just been kind of a nice jovial wanderer. So
I see. Yeah, I mean that's
it's
really
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you would have found out. I just kind of made like a little pun. His father would have been called like Gunther Man, which is like gunman. So
Aw.
Dope.
and then you would have found out about that, and then he would have had to like spill some of his secrets to you. So
Yeah.
So Kazu, write that down. What does it take Klepto to snap?
One of us needs to die.
killing the
No, I
killing
can't
his
kill the
one
dog.
and
There's no
only-
animal abuse.
killing the most important man in his entire life. I mean, like,
Yeah, I think that's good enough motivation. All right, that's great. The last question is, who do you know from my past, and how they influenced your feelings about me?
Marcella said based on her warning her about the clan, she will have researched and learned as much as she could about them through the Fungirl network, and it makes her feel protective over her.
Oh, that's
Aw.
perfect.
That's cute. Thanks.
Sweet.
Yeah, so we'll say that you come from a sanctum, Maggie. Are you okay with that? I think you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, you come from a sanctum. It'll likely be Veritas, which is one of the few sanctums that have connections to the outside world.
Well, my background is still what is it? Heritage. It's Underborn. It's the
Underborn?
community.
Okay. Underborn.
Yeah.
That's fine. That makes sense for sanctum.
Okay.
It's gonna be elves. It's gonna be the only place that has like a large population of elves, because elves are very rare in the Ashfell Waste.
See. Okay.
Yeah. Full-blooded
Do you want-
elves. Like
should-
anyone
should
can be
I-
like half elf. Half elf is actually relatively common, but like pure-blooded elves, very rare.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So put Sanctum Veritas.
Okay. Should I post my background questions?
Yeah. If you guys want, you can put your background questions in the connections chat too. Actually, I'll make a separate chat for that. Background questions.
Character lore?
It'll be in the character creation.
What's my background
Alright,
questions?
okay.
Yeah, so that way you guys can refer to each other's connections and background questions, and I can refer to them too, if you want to post them there. All right. So I think that covers all your questions. Is there anyone else who has connections that they want filled out? We actually ended up just doing everyone's connections, which is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, my last one isn't filled out.
What's your last one?
Which one was your last one?
Let me find it. Oh, here. I have it as a screenshot.
Or was it the what secret have about yourself have you entrusted only to me?
Yeah.
I could do that one.
But
I could say that Eliza probably, since you know you're her bar person, she probably got like really drunk one time. She would have shared to you that she was born a man, and she transitioned to be a woman, and that is
Gotcha.
why she is banished from her clan.
okay. Got you.
All right, that's perfect. I think that's everyone. How we feeling?
Pretty
Awesome.
good.
I do need to take a really quick break. I gotta kiss my spouse goodnight, and I will be right back.
Yeah, no worries. Let's take a short break.
You know
Let's
what?
take like maybe 5 minutes if you guys want to get water, if you want to use the bathroom, because I think since we have everything done, we can actually jump into a little bit of playing the game. Actually, we'll jump into like a mini tutorial session where I'll explain the rules.
That's cute.
So,
Yeah.
So take a quick break, 5 minutes ish.
I can play a game of Tekken. No, I'm not gonna do that.
Do not
Wow.
play any sort of game. It will be more than 5 minutes. It's like, yeah, I'll just play a ranked game. It'll be fast. And then it gets fucking tied.
You can play a game like Clash Royale.
It's one of those ranked games where it's like, oh, it draws, and then you have to play the overtime game, and you're like, oh my god, this took 1 hour somehow.
Oh,
Yeah, and you like drew again somehow.
Yeah, like I was playing Rainbow yesterday, and then my sister was gonna come to pick up the car, and she was gonna come in like 30 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's enough time for a ranked game. It'll be fast. And then it freaking went overtime, and the overtime in Rainbow is like you have to play 3 more games, and you have to win 2. You have to best 2 of 3 for the overtime. I'm like, no, this is nightmare.
Mm-hmm. Overtime, and
wow.
it's not 1 more game. It's 3, which is crazy.
It's nightmare, truly nightmare.
I was playing Rainbow not too long ago.
Yeah, I started playing it again since X came out.
Oh, cute. How do you like it?
I mean, it's the same. It's the same. It's like
It's the same game. It's the
Yeah.
same game.
I like it because it's the same. I guess I don't know.
One game I'm
But,
trying to
like,
get back into is
like-
Destiny.
Oh yeah. My one friend was like playing it. Well, it was like playing like Siege X, and he was like, "Oh my god, it's so good! It's like so new." I played it like the
It's
first
so
game. I'm
new.
like, like
That's
the first
wild
game
that they said it's new.
I know, right? Like the first game I played too, I was like, "This is just the same old shit. What the fuck you mean? It looks better, I guess." Like,
I mean,
okay.
can
I mean, yeah, it doesn't
barely
have
tell the
10-year-old
difference.
graphics,
I
but
can
yeah.
barely tell the difference. I'll be honest. But I did like Rainbow a lot. Like I had 600 hours on Rainbow Six Siege before I stopped playing it, so
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just got back into it a little bit and playing it.
People keep banning my operator.
Oh, I mean,
Who's your operator?
I always get banned on my op.
I play Ash. I pop off for one
Yeah,
round.
obviously.
I mean, usually whoever pops off the hardest that round gets their character banned. Like that's usually how it goes, you know. It's like Universal just ban like I don't know Blackbeard or Mira or Dokkaebi early on, and then afterwards it's just whoever did the best that round we just ban them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. No, that's valid. One game I'm trying to get back into is Destiny 2.
For the
That shit's
character
fun.
questions that I asked, if you do answer any of them, put them in the background questions chat.
Oh, they got you.
Yeah, because that again
That'll
just
work.
applies to background.
Mhm.
And you don't have to answer all the questions yet. You know, there's definitely a lot of time to play your character and figure it
Yeah.
out as you're playing, because you might want to change things.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, 1 was like perfect for me because it was like the since the shattering, who or what has your
Yeah,
character lost?
yeah,
That was like that was like immediately one of my background questions. So that was a really good one. Like, when we do this kind of like, you know, quick tutorial for everyone, should we kind of go over like our cards, kind of like go through like domain effects, like to see
Yeah,
what
I think
people can
because
do, or
because
just,
everyone you start with 2 domain cards, right? Or no, 3? No, 2.
yeah,
Two.
you have the 2 that you can pick
Just
from
2.
your
Everyone should
from
start
your,
with
like,
2. You
affinities.
can either pick 2 from the same
Yeah.
domain or 1 from each domain.
exactly,
Yeah, so
and
we
then just kind
we
of like a
should-
very
we
quick.
should go over. Did everyone pick domain
Yeah,
cards?
and
I
then
hope
just a
everyone
quick-
realized that they needed to pick domain cards.
Yes,
I think
I did.
I think
Does
they
it
did. I
ask
think
you to?
I
'Cause
kind of
did it,
yeah.
but I-
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did
that's
a
pretty
quick peek
plain.
on everyone's. I did a quick peek on everyone's character sheet. I'm pretty sure everyone's like, we at least have all of our abilities.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because that matters.
Yeah,
If you didn't
Yeah, but
pick
I
your
think,
domain cards, that's like your main thing you're going to be using.
yeah. But I think people probably want to kind of give, kind of that like, oh, this is like what my character. Is.
Yeah.
There's kind of
No,
what
no,
I
yeah,
built-
that's
what
a
I
great
built
idea.
around, Like,
I'm gonna basically what I'm gonna go over first is just like the main rules, like basically the play guide. I'm gonna go step by step through the play
Yeah.
guide, and then
Exactly.
afterwards we could cover everyone's domain cards so you guys know mechanically what you can do.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But yeah, we'll still give a couple more minutes for everyone else.
I'm gonna put my backstory in that background thing as well.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, Daggerheart's rulebook is so well made that all of the session 0 things that I just did, like, that's like textbook from the book.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
isn't
yeah,
that
this is-
crazy?
this is great.
That's fucking crazy
yeah.
to me. It's so much
It's-
better
it's-
than D&D. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, 100%. It's like how can I say it? It makes it so that your characters actually have a genuine connection before
Yeah.
anything. So you have something to build off of
Yeah.
when you're talking with each other, which is really good.
It very much reads like a love letter to D&D and being like, this is how we should have designed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it feels
Yes.
like the thing that when someone's like, I want to be a DM, and they're looking at Dungeons and Dragons and they start Googling how to be a good DM, and people are like, here's what you should do in session 0. It's like, that should have just been in the guide. Like, it should have
Yeah.
been there from the
Yes.
beginning. So,
All right. Is
Yeah,
everyone back?
there's no reason to scroll through.
Yeah.
I'm back.
I'm here.
Oh, I have good news, everyone.
Yes.
What's your good news?
I remembered that I had an Oreo McFlurry that I put in the freezer earlier because I didn't want to share it with my kids. So now I get it now.
That's so funny.
Jesus.
You're like, my kids have had enough sugar.
Hey, they don't.
Nah,
They don't.
nah,
They
I
didn't
got
deserve
enough.
this. I worked for this. This is mine.
They have their
Mm.
own treats.
Can I
But
get
yeah,
an
if I want
Oreo
something to
McFlurry?
myself,
Yeah, you
I
go,
eat it after
you go
bed.
ahead and enjoy that.
That's
Let
funny.
me ping Pebble.
Can I get an Oreo McFlurry? Mina selling ice cream right now. Love
Yeah.
them again.
Before we cover the rules, does anyone have any like general questions about their characters or character creation? Did anyone have any issues making their characters through demiplane?
No, it was very simple. I guess my one ability, the Shadow Stepper from Nightwalker. When it says like you can move from shadow to shadow, is that kind of like Night Step, like how it is in D&D? Like you can just teleport from shadow to shadow.
Can we pull up that card? Let's see. What is it called?
it's
It's
in
called Shadow Stepper.
Shadow Stepper.
it's in a subclass, so it might not let you pull it up.
Oh crap.
Oh yeah, it is in a. I'll just copy and paste what it does.
I thought the extension lets us pull up domain cards. Am I crazy?
It does domain cards, but some of the subclass stuff
Oh,
is
just
in
the
there.
domain
Yeah,
cards. Yeah, not the subclass. Oh shit.
yeah, not this. Yeah, I know, right? It's most of it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even expecting there to be an extension for that. So
Yeah.
Shadow Stepper. You can move from shadow to shadow when you move into an area dark enough to cast shadow. Creature object. You mark a stress to disappear from where you are and reappear inside the creature within far range. When you reappear, you are cloaked. What was your question regarding this?
Like, can I teleport from shadow to shadow? Like, can I just jump? Like how it is from like D&D, like D&D.
I mean,
like, big
yeah,
stuff. Is
but
that
you're
what it's
marking
called?
a stress for it, which is a resource.
Mhm.
So you're
Yeah.
basically, so you're limited in how much stress you can take before you start taking damage.
Yes.
So yeah, you can do this. You can definitely do this as much as you want.